Welcome to the Muñiz Legal Podcast, From Injury to Inheritance.
Hey everyone, welcome back to an all-new episode of the Muñiz Legal Podcast, From Injury to Inheritance with Lizzette Muñiz, the founder of Muñiz Legal, dedicated to guiding you from life's toughest moments to lasting peace of mind. I'm your host, Mike Leon. She's born in Manhattan. She's raised in the Bronx, a Brooklyn resident for over 2 decades, and now a proud resident of Ulster County. Lizette's been serving clients across New York City and the Hudson Valley. She's a bilingual Spanish-speaking attorney and been helping families obtain compensation after accidents and protect what they've worked hard to achieve through thoughtful estate planning. In today's episode, we're talking about the sandwich generation, those caring for aging parents while raising children, and how estate planning can bring some breathing room back into their lives. And this is a subject that's very sensitive to me as somebody who's done this exact work. So Lizzette, I know this topic is going to hit home, especially in Latino households. This is how we take care of our grandparents. When you meet clients in that same position, what kind of stress or confusion do they usually describe to you?
I think the typical sentiment that these clients express is overwhelm, followed by guilt. They're trying to do it all. They're trying to care for their aging parents and make sure that they're taking their medications. They're trying to raise their children and make sure that they're getting to their soccer games. And then they're also trying to get their own affairs in order while working and trying to plan for their future. So it's a real issue. The sandwich generation is a real thing, and I'm meeting more and more people who are realizing that they are a part of this generation, and everyone's just trying to navigate it the best they can.
And when it comes to estate planning, I feel like a lot of people think, oh, well, that's just something for retirees, for older folks. But how do you help those middle-aged clients see that it's actually part of caring for both generations at once?
Well, it's certainly for anyone over the age of 18,
Mhm.
but for specifically for middle-aged individuals who have minor children, it's imperative for them to have an estate plan because, our children are our biggest loves and assets and investments, and so we want to protect them. And the way we can show love and caring for our children is to put a plan in place, to talk to them about it, to let them know what would happen. God forbid there were an emergency. It gives them peace of mind. It helps you plan while your mind is clear instead of in crisis. And then, with regard to for middle-aged parents, for middle-aged individuals caring for aging parents, it also helps give you peace of mind knowing that if something were to happen to your parents, their affairs are in order, and you won't have to take on the additional stress of having to navigate their issues, whether it be a healthcare proxy, a power of attorney, or avoiding probate or taxes, or even having to go through the court system, to access their bank accounts, their financials, their assets. You can avoid all of that. A little bit of, and an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. It holds true, especially in estate planning.
So let me ask you, what are some of the most common gaps that you see in folks' plans? Or is it even the lack of having a plan?
Well, lack of a plan is number one. I think that people want they have kind of like analysis paralysis. They want the perfect plan. And what I see is that people avoid planning for two reasons. They feel like they're disorganized in their paperwork, their documentation, and they think it's going to be a lot of work, or they think that it's complicated. And what I tell my clients is start small. It doesn't have to be perfect, but at least you can have something done. I mean, basic documents like a will and a healthcare proxy and a power of attorney will give you tremendous peace of mind. And it's something that you can build on. So in the future, if you have more time or more assets or the desire for more protection, you can add on a trust. And there are different types of trusts. And at our firm, we review our clients' plans for free every 3 years because circumstances change. And so you want to review your plan every 3 years. It's not a set it and forget it. You put it in a drawer and it's done because things change. And then one thing I definitely want to mention before I end my response to this question is beneficiary designations. Really important to make sure that your checking and revising your beneficiary designations on a regular basis. That's the other gap that I see. People make a plan, but they don't change their beneficiary designations to reflect what's in their plan, and they conflict and it becomes an issue.
What about for the folks we were talking about, the folks that are taking care of older loved ones? What steps do you advise them on, or can help them with in terms of making responsibilities that are legally and financially clearer for them?
Yeah. I say you have to really talk to your parents or the older people that you're taking care of, and you need to kind of have that frank conversation that no one really wants to have about how planning is imperative the older you get, because you can only plan when you have the competency to plan. And so what happens is I get a lot of calls from people saying, my mom, is was diagnosed with stage 1 dementia or Alzheimer's, or she's starting to become forgetful. She's forgetting to pay her bills. I want to have a power of attorney so that I can start doing things on her behalf. And there's an issue when the person starts to exhibit those types of symptoms. There's a question as to whether they're competent to sign these documents. So it's important for us to start talking to our parents about getting these documents done while they're still competent to have them done.
Lizette, let me ask you about DIY. So a lot of times people try to do this in a rush. They make mistakes. How can working with an attorney like yourself save them some stress in the long run?
Yeah. So what I typically tell clients who ask that question about DIY is, typically people who do DIY do it because they believe it to be a cost savings, right? But an estate plan is an investment. And if you try to cut corners in the beginning, you end up paying the price later on more often than not, because an estate plan is not a cookie cutter thing that you should be able to just do online willy-nilly. Everybody's circumstances are unique. Everybody's family dynamics are unique, and their goals and their asset protection needs are unique. So cookie cutter plans, all it does is it gives you the peace of mind knowing that you did something, but you'll have to wonder, will it work when I need it to?
You said peace of mind and you said it gives people relief. So I guess the counter would be, well, this sounds stressful. Can you share a story where maybe a client left and felt like the weight was lifted off their shoulders once they had this plan in place?
Yeah, I had a client actually recently, and lovely, lovely person. I didn't know it at the time. She was kind of in a time crunch. We were going to do a trust plan, but then she decided that she wanted to go with a will based plan because she wasn't getting a response from her co op board and she just needed to get it done. So we ended up doing a smaller plan for her just to do a will based plan. And when she left my office with the plan in her hand, it's like she almost clutched it like in a hug, and she revealed to us that her husband had been recently diagnosed with a terminal illness, and that she just felt so much peace of mind knowing that their plan had been executed before he was too ill to execute it. And this is another example of what I mentioned earlier about how perfection is the enemy of good. Start small and you can build on it later. She has the basic documents, and that gave her peace of mind.
Well, let's stay on the starting small. So, listener out there is feeling overwhelmed. What's a small, realistic first step that can help them start creating order out of all these moving parts?
Yeah, first step is start taking an inventory of your assets and putting all of your documents in one place, right? So if you have a property deed, put that in a box. Then go and get your life insurance policies and put that together with your property deeds. Get your bank statements together. Get your brokerage account statements together. And just start putting everything together. You'd be so surprised how relieved you'll feel when you have all of those things in one place. And then when you start to do your estate plan, it's going to be so much easier because you don't have to be digging around looking for things. Everything you need is right in front of you.
Yeah. Lizette, as we wrap on this episode, we talked about the painful conversations part as well. How does having those conversation early while everyone's healthy change the way families relate and maybe communicate long term?
Yeah, they're hard conversations, but I think there's a lot of relief that comes from having them because it relieves uncertainty, and I think everyone can relate to the fact that uncertainty, like people say people would rather die than not know something, it's like the uncertainty that kills us. So it's like once you open the conversation and people have clarity about what's going to happen, where they can find things, what they can expect, it just brings a lot of relief to the family and it prevents future conflict because when your kids know what mom and dad wanted, it takes that pressure off of them to decide or argue about it.
Lizette, thank you for the time and insights on this. We truly appreciate it as always.
Thanks, Mike.
And that's it for today's episode of the Muñiz Legal Podcast, From Injury to Inheritance. If you'd like to learn more about Lizzette and the work that she's doing, do me a favor, visit muñizlegal.com. You're going to find resources there in English and in Espanol to help you recover after an accident and protect your future through proper planning. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a review and comment, or share this episode with someone who needs to hear it. As always, I'm Mike Leon. See everybody next time.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a review in the comments.